And so their conditions may even be worsening right now. And that's the concern on the families' minds and on their attorneys' minds.
You've got a piece that came out this week in RCP. It's not about California, it's about Iran. And it's about a topic that really hasn't gotten the kind of coverage I think it deserves. And that is the fact that Iran has detained and is holding a number of foreign nationals in its jails, including some Americans. Tell us about that and why'd you write about it this week?
Well, there are many as 6 Americans that we know about that are in this Iranian jail, this notorious Evin prison. And one of them, Shahab Dalili, he was left out of previous deals to get the hostages out during the Biden administration. And his family was very vocal during that time and saying, what was going on here? Why aren't you telling Iran all or nothing? Because they did get 5 Americans out, and the State Department at the time under Joe Biden made a very big deal about that. But meanwhile, these families were saying, you did not get Dalili out, you did not get another American. Now, these are legal permanent residents, so they're not citizens, but under the current law, hostage law in America, they have all the privileges that American citizens would have.
These are held in Tehran in this prison that you mentioned, which is called the Evin prison, I guess, EVAN. And that was struck by the Israelis on Monday. It was sort of at the tail end of the military exchange after we had hit the nuclear sites. But they went in and they struck the prison where I suppose these Americans and other foreign nationals, as well as domestic political prisoners, are being held. So that sort of is what gave the story real juice.
Right, but they didn't strike it where they were being held. That's the problem. They struck the gate, the front gate. And from what I understand, we don't know because no one's talking about this, including the State Department, including the White House, which I did reach out to. That was supposed to be a symbolic message to the Iranian people because this prison, Evin Prison, is known for holding political prisoners. In fact, they did execute an American last year. And I talked to the lawyer that represents both that American and he's a legal permanent resident, a green card holder, and this other American, Shahab Dalili, and I spoke to their families, and they were very concerned that that was irresponsible of Israel to hit that prison because it's such a emotional time, and of course, precarious time for these prisoners. They've been holding out there for years in this prison, and then Israel hits the front gate. And what kind of reaction will that provoke? The families are on pins and needles right now, waiting to see if the ceasefire holds, and they're advocating to both President Trump and the State Department, Marco Rubio, to include their the family members' release in any type of nuclear deal moving forward.
Yeah, and has the White House responded on that? That would seem to be something that you would want at the forefront of the negotiation at this point, right?
Not on the specifics. When I talked to the White House, they gave me a statement saying, we have had a great record. We have gotten more than 50 hostages worldwide out from their release. They have secured the release of over the course of 2 terms. This is in the second term. The first term, they were very good, and then their hostage diplomacy was very effective. Of course, so far in the Trump's term, they have been focused on the hostages held by Hamas. And as you know, has been the major focus of many countries, Israel and others, trying to get those hostages released. Unfortunately, some of them have just been released their remains, and because they died while they were being held. This is a very sad sort of situation here, but there's chance right now when these pivotal moments happen that you could secure the release of the remaining Americans. And there are also Westerners. There was a letter I got from a family to the Swedish Prime Minister advocating for the same thing. There's UK hostages there. There's many from several Western countries. So this is a pivotal moment, and the attorneys, the human rights attorneys, are trying their best to say, I don't understand why you had to bomb the front of the prison. And there were reports that some of these hostages had to be moved because other parts, unconfirmed reports of the prison was bombed. And so their conditions may even be worsening right now. And that's the concern on the families' minds and on their attorneys' minds.
Yeah. You're listening to Real Clear Politics on Sirius XM. I'm talking to Susan Crabtree. We're talking about the situation in Iran and the prisoners held there in this, specifically in this one prison in Tehran, which was bombed by the Israelis, as we said, but holds foreign nationals as well as domestic political prisoners. And this, of course, has a lot of, is freighted with a lot of historical meaning because, as people know, Iran took American hostages back in 1979 when they, during the Iranian Revolution. And it has been a feature of their sort of foreign policy ever since, as true in other repressive regimes. They do sort of grab these foreign nationals, take them, and then trade them for money or for, other, prisoner exchanges where they get often multiple of their own people back in exchange for this. So this is a feature of Iranian foreign policy, and I guess that's part of what, if you're the U.S. government, I guess you'd sort of want to try to change that as well, right?
Yes, this is sort of something that the Iranians have perfected over time. It's become a business for them. I've covered many of these cases. I'm in touch with human rights lawyers, even the Washington Post. Jason Rezaian, who was released during the Obama administration. Of course, the big news about that hostage release after everyone was celebrating was that President Obama sent pallets of cash to Iran, 400 million the night of those hostages release. Even though the human rights lawyers want to see these family members return home, many of them do not agree with providing a monetary exchange. It should be in return from some policy agreement, maybe a nuclear agreement. But this now process that we've gone now, Biden increased the amount that he provided for the hostages that he secured their release. It was 7 times that of what the Obama administration provided, and that number was 1.7 billion. Now we're up to 8-9 billion from the Biden administration. So they don't want to see that keep happening because it only provides more incentive to grab more Americans. And this particular American was an Iranian citizen who had immigrated to the United States, was living in California. He went to the UAE. He didn't even go back to Iran. He was nabbed by the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, in a separate country, Arabic country. So that was deeply concerning too. And it broke every type of Geneva Convention, international rule governing hostages. So they are trying to secure his release, Shahab Dalili's release. He's 63 years old. His family hasn't seen him in many, many years, over a decade. And so this is a pivotal time. They're hoping that they can use this moment to urge the Trump administration, if there is any kind of nuclear deal moving forward, that Shahab Dalili and other Americans can see their freedom as well.
Yeah, and one feature of this, I guess, it's worth mentioning, is how often they grab journalists, including, as you say in this article, which I think people can find it on Real Clear Politics. In January 2024, his name is Reza Valizadeh. I think I've got that right. He's a dual U.S. Iranian citizen and was a former journalist for the U.S. Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty, for Radio Farda. Charged him with 10 years in prison for espionage, and he's being held as we speak. He's another example of someone that they've grabbed and I guess will hold until they get something, money or something in exchange, right?
That's exactly right. And they really they tend to target dual citizens the most. And when they go back for a father's funeral, a family member's funeral, and that's when they get nabbed. In other cases, I've covered instances where they're State Department contractors, people working for the U.S. State Department, go over there on invitation by the Iranian government for conferences, and they get nabbed going back on their way to the airport. This is not, this is not normal diplomatic actions. This is a violation of so many rules, international norms and rules. So, these people are trying to secure their release. They've been in this terrible prison where they are psychologically tortured, forced to make confessions of spying. And in most cases, these are trumped up charges that have no basis in reality.